more saving, more doing. U.S. only.
Hey, it's Rich, and you've probably heard me talk about how much I enjoy taking my family to the Hamburger Factory. They're located in Old Poway Park by the train and railroad, and it's been family-owned for over 40 years. From the burgers, to the specials, to the beer and wine, even the Ornburger. Hamburger Factory has a menu that suits everyone's appetite. They serve breakfast through dinner, and they also cater. Hamburger Factory, it's not just about the food, it's about the experience, too. Check out their menu at hamburgerfactory.com or visit them off Midland Road in Poway.
Combining home and auto with State Farm gets you great coverage for less. Combining 90s R&B with State Farm radio ads gets you this jam covered for free.
Home and auto, let's do it. Combine it, my policy, my wallet is waiting. Come on, jump on it. Home and auto.
For more coverage, visit statefarm.com.
Combine it.
Do you wish you could erase mistakes you've made in your marriage? I'm Mark Merrill with today's Family Minute. Let's face it, we all make mistakes, and more often than not, the recipient of those mistakes is our spouse. But small failures in a marriage don't mean it's time to give up. Instead, it's an opportunity to be honest with ourselves about the areas we struggle in so that we can learn. So, here are some common marriage mistakes and how to overcome them. First, we often take our spouse for granted. Instead, it's time we celebrate the fact that each day our spouse chooses to stand by our side. Second, we make the mistake of keeping secrets. Strive to be an open book with your spouse so they can trust you. Remember, your family first.
For more resources on today's topic, go to markmerrill.com. The Family Minute with Mark Merrill, helping families love well.
This is the home of San Diego sports. KLSD AM and KGB FM HD2 and now K277DH San Diego.
Fox Sports trending now.
This report presented by TrueCar. You need to make good choices, and with TrueCar, you've got a star on your roster. So when you're ready to sell or trade in your car, check out TrueCar. True cash offer not available in all areas. Another golden moment for the Golden State Warriors on Friday night as they won at Houston 118 to 113 to capture the Western Conference semifinals in 6 games. Steph Curry, a scoreless first half, 33 points in the second half, including 23 in the fourth quarter. Golden State opens up the Western Conference Finals at home Tuesday night against I'm Isaac Lowenkron.
We are Foghorn.
Now here's something we hope you really like.
This is the Jason McIntyre Show.
There are some decent storylines this weekend.
The Jason McIntyre Show.
What are you talking about?
With Jason McIntyre.
Don't yell at me through the radio.
That's what I thought. Shut up. The Jason McIntyre Show is now.
Do you understand?
Live from the Geico Fox Sports Radio studios. Here's your host, Jason McIntyre.
Hour 2 here on Fox Sports Radio. It's your boy, Jason McIntyre. Very excited on this lovely Saturday morning in L.A. The fraudulent Houston Rockets are toast. To Fox Sports Radio, I am your host, Jason McIntyre, coming to you live from the Geico Fox Sports Radio studios. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote. Folks, if you happen to, go out last night, maybe left your phone at home, did not turn on the television, and you're just waking up, one of the truly great performances I've ever seen in a playoff game. Yeah, I mean, you toss Jordan, Magic Johnson, Clay's incredible game, Game 6 against OKC, LeBron against the Pistons way back when, what Steph Curry did in the second half against the Rockets in game. 0 points in the first half, 33 in the second half. Just an incredible performance. And I thought the best person to talk about what happened last night would be a three-point shooter himself, Mr. Jared Dudley of the Brooklyn Nets, joining the show. Jared, good morning. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm still in shock from last night, man. What a great game. Great series, man. But, I mean, I personally did not see it coming. I thought that the Warriors would play well. I thought that, obviously, a champion still have good players. But I thought even if it was a close game, Rockets would find a way to win to get it to 7.
Yeah. Jared, I'm shocked. I was absolutely floored that they lost this game. Listen, I know as a player you probably don't like to hear when people say choke. I'm sorry. I don't know what else to say. But in Game 5, James Harden down the stretch, one shot in the final 8 minutes. I know the offense looked good. He had one assist and one turnover in the fourth quarter in a must-win game. They win that. James, there's no way they lose Game 6 at home. I don't know. I mean, I've been a doubter all along, but can James Harden in this style, this heavy ISO, can this ever win a title? Because Kobe Bryant's on record as saying, no, it's not going to ever win.
Yeah, I mean, the odds and the percentages tell you no. I mean, and that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to defy basically the NBA strategists. I mean, let's be honest. It's the first time in NBA history every single game came within 6 points. And this is the difference between the Ewings, the Barkleys, the Stocktons, the Carmelones, and obviously the Jordan and LeBron. And obviously when it comes to the Golden State Warriors, like the best team wins these ones. And so, yes, Houston had a chance. Like you said, Harden only shoots the ball one time in 8 minutes in Game 5 to have a chance without Kevin Durant to win. And you know they will not lose. The Warriors will be deflating. And for them to get that, I mean, to see this style of one-on-one, it can be both. You know, they were loading up on defense. They were making them shoot. They wanted James Harden to have 15 assists, and these guys were shooting tough shots. Gerald Green came in, shot 9 shots in 11 minutes. The shot selection for Houston was awful.
Yeah, well, listen, that's got to be on the coach, Jared. And, again, Mike, what happened to Eric Gordon last night? I mean, this guy was torching the Warriors through the first 5 games, averaging somewhere to 22 points a game. The guy took 2 3-point shots last night. I mean, some of this is on Mike D'Antoni, right?
Yeah, I mean, a little bit, yes, because you want to call some plays, but it's their offense. Like you said, they run ball screens, they switch, and then it's one-on-one. So there's going to be some games, my good friend P.J. Tucker, he'll tell you, Game 1, he didn't score. Game 2, he had... Who gets the ball? Now, Eric Gordon can be more aggressive. You know, through a series, but everyone's not going to play well for 7 straight games unless you're Kevin Durant, and obviously Harden statistically. I mean, they're going to take you away eventually, but I just thought that just the rhythm, even though they had 113 points, the shot selection, when they got their shots, defensively, the urgency they came out. Golden State had, 29 the first quarter on the road without Kevin Durant? Like, you could just see, like, man, like they didn't have the urgency to want to get this to 7.
Yeah, we're talking about Jared Dudley, Brooklyn Nets. So, Jared, I watched this entire series closely. The Rockets bench won every single game except for Game 6, and they got smoked because Quinn Cook, who had played less than a minute in the series, came on and was effective. Jordan Bell came on, didn't vomit all over himself. I just, Steve Kerr needs props. Steph Curry obviously does, but the guy we haven't mentioned here through about 3 minutes is Kevin Durant. And the narrative now is, well, they can win without Durant. Jared, please tell me you're on my side, and you can look at this and say, folks, it's just one game and one fourth quarter. This team needs Durant because remember, Jared, when LeBron was at the height of his powers, Kyrie and Kevin Love were healthy, they beat these Warriors. They beat them, and that's why they had to go and get Kevin Durant. Clay said it last night. Kevin Durant's the best player in the league. We need him back. I don't know that I'm being dead serious. I don't know if they beat the Bucks if Kevin Durant's not healthy.
They will not beat the Bucks without Kevin Durant. Now, can they beat a Portland or even a Denver team? Hey, I'll bet on the Warriors for that one just because of what I've seen in this. But let's take it back to Game 6. The reason why I think that bench played so well is it's the first time they knew, hey, listen, we're all going to play. Kerr let them know probably before the game in practice, of with the rotations or who's going to be playing. Hey, Quinn Cook, be ready. George Bell, I'm coming to you. So as a bench player like myself throughout the career, when you know that you're going to come in, it's easier to perform. Those 5-6 games, those guys wouldn't even play. And if they did, they play spot minutes for 4 or 5 minutes. It's hard to play well like that. So going and I think it actually helped the bench playing better that Kevin Durant was not there, knowing their role. And then now when you come to the other thing about this, this Warrior team and this, I mean, to winning the championship, Kevin Durant, yeah.
All right, you want to turn the audio down in the here? Yeah, it picks us up. Mic check, mic check. Hey, good morning, everyone watching Facebook Live.
Hey, here we are. We're not on the radio right now, but we're on Facebook Live. And I'm going to continue to see how we can hook up on the radio to Biz Talk. And hopefully you're hearing us just fine. In the meantime, Tiger, John, you guys do your thing. There's the camera. Say hi to everybody. And we'll go from there.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day, everybody.
That's right, Mother's Day weekend, right?
That's right.
So hopefully you're going to treat your mothers with the respect you always do, right?
Yeah, that'd be nice.
That'd be nice?
Yeah.
Especially on Mother's Day.
And not just tomorrow.
And throughout the entire year.
That's right.
Do you have anything fun planned for Shannon today?
Do I?
Yeah. I mean,
tomorrow.
that is the thing. Like, see, you are in a good state because the Mother's Day responsibilities have been taken off your shoulders and put on your children because now they're old enough to make their own decisions, plans, gifts, right? I still have to plan everything. Yeah. So
that's right, yeah. Because you have sons and
you
daughters.
have your mother.
Yeah, but you know what? She's out of town this weekend, so it made it easy for me because it's like, oh yeah, Happy Mother's Day, Mom. But
your mom's out of town?
Yeah, they went on a vacation. They're up in the island off Vancouver. Why can't I think of it now? We talked about going there on a trip one time.
Oh, Victoria?
Yeah, Victoria.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they went to Bouchard Gardens.
Did they?
Yep, yeah. And then they're going to do a cruise up into Alaska and some other
wow.
stuff. So, yeah, fun trip planned ahead for them.
Yeah, it sounds like that.
But, yeah, so, and then for those of you that are watching Facebook Live and you're in San Diego at the moment, the Mission Hills Garden Walk is today. Starts at 10 a.m. At Mission Hills Nursery. It starts and tours about 10 homes through the Mission Hills community. You can easily walk it. It seems like it's going to be a nice day for it because
it's not going to be too hot, that's for sure.
It definitely won't be too hot. We got partly cloudy, a little bit of maybe some drizzle in the forecast right now, which means it'll be nice.
Much. It won't be bad.
And it's hit and miss, right?
Yeah.
Have you been out there where you're cloudy and then all of a sudden it drizzles for a minute and then it goes back to just being cloudy? Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of that.
Brought back a memory that I think there's no point in sharing. So I got a note from Linda in Reading on Facebook.
What's she saying?
She's thanking me for identifying the picture that she sent me during the week.
What was it?
It was a plant she bought. She didn't know what the flower was, and as soon as I saw it, I knew it was a Godetia.
Oh,
and
nice.
Godetia are really, I think, attractive flowers, but it's not something you see all the time.
Because it is an attractive flower, as you mentioned, but plants go in and out of popularity sometimes. Has it ever been popular? Because I've never known it to be popular.
No, me neither.
No? Okay.
No, and I've been gardening for 55 years now.
You proud of that?
I'm proud I remember it.
That's good. All 55 years you remember.
Yep.
Good job.
Actually, I started my professional career in 1967.
That was the Summer of Love.
Was it?
The Monterey Pop Festival, yes.
67?
Yes, 67.
I went to
Hippies
the Monterey
went full swing.
Pop Festival.
No, you went to one in Toronto.
Toronto. Yes, that's right.
67.
Toronto.
See,
I know him.
You know him better than himself.
That's right.
Oh, that's so funny.
I started working at Frank's Nursery in Farmington, Michigan in 1967, part-time.
And you were just a young buck, right? You were probably, let's say,
16.
11 years old? No,
16.
21. 16?
Yeah. And I was making $1.20 an hour.
Good money back then. That's good.
Even back then, it wasn't really good money.
Hey, we should explain to those people who maybe go back and forth from BizTalk Radio to Facebook Live. BizTalk is having a problem on their end, but we are doing Facebook Live. We are here, and we're going to continue to give you what we can, as good as we can, for hopefully the next couple of hours. So do bear with us. This is the first time in a long time that the network's had a problem. So we'll just go from here, John.
Marilyn in El Cajon says it's raining out there.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I woke up to a little bit of rain. I'm surprised it's still raining this long for this period of time here in San Diego.
Yeah, we usually have May gray in San
June
Diego,
gloom.
and then moves into June gloom. But
And then July high, you know that.
We usually don't get May gray with rain.
Yeah.
The rain's usually stopped in, February, first part of March. But it's been nice. It's been nice to have this extra rain.
It is, yeah. It's going to be a great summer. It's going to be beautiful. It's already beautiful. Things are blooming. Been out to the desert?
No.
Aren't you a desert guy? Go out there and look at all the new flowers?
No. I've never been to see the bloom in the desert.
You're not a camper either, are you?
Not anymore.
No, not after the bears chased you, right?
They didn't chase me, but that was a whole nother story.
Yeah, it's a long time ago. See?
Yeah.
Another part of his 55 years, Tiger.
That was probably I don't remember a whole lot of camping after that trip. We went from Detroit straight south to Florida, and then straight west to California, and then up north to Oregon, and then back east to Detroit.
Sounds like an old covered wagon trail.
It was an old station wagon trail.
Country Squire with the wood on the side, wood paneling.
Exactly. And it was a 6-week trip. 6 weeks of driving.
How many kids?
Well, I had both my brothers with me.
All right, so 3 of you.
And my cousin.
4.
My mother.
5.
And we drove out to California and picked up Shannon, my wife.
Because she was only 12 at the time, right?
No. She was 16.
16, okay.
Wait, was she 16? No, she was 17 at the time. Because she turned 18 when she got back to Michigan. And
something
we were
about
married
crossing
the next
state
year.
lines back then, Tiger.
So it was fun, and we camped the entire way.
That's a heck of a trip.
That is.
Yeah, especially for back then, because everything had to be with the AAA triptychs and the orange magic marker. Do you remember those?
Like on the maps, you mean?
Yeah.
Find your way?
Showing your way.
Showing your way. And
what were those maps?
Triptychs.
There was another map that's very famous.
Thomas Brothers.
Thomas Brothers, yeah.
Right. Nobody uses those anymore.
Whatever happened to those guys?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I bet you they still have some map books around because, I mean, you still need them in some areas. Because when I was in Joshua Tree a few weeks back, you don't have any cell service. So you have zero. And I'm sure there's a lot of places. I mean, we get jaded because we're here in San Diego where every corner of our county is covered with cellular service all the way up to our mountains.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of areas where they probably don't have wonderful or any cell service out there. So you still need some MacBooks for some areas. And that's the young generation going to be lost in a lot of ways because, they're going to go to some place like that, not plan for it, not know about it, show up there, and then be completely lost, right?
Well, you were telling me that the younger generation doesn't know directions, north, south, east, because their phone just says turn right, turn left.
Yeah. I'll be back. Keep talking, guys.
All right, perfect.
Stay in the right lane.
Yeah. They tell you exactly the lane to stay in now, right? Isn't that amazing?
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
It's not just a matter of like somewhere get off the freeway. It's in 50 feet you are going to exit the freeway.
That's right.
That's crazy.
When did they stop saying recalculating?
Do they stop? I don't know.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore.
Yeah, rerouting. I've seen rerouting.
I don't get that.
No?
No, Siri doesn't say that.
It's because you just follow it perfectly every time.
Could
it
be.
never has to.
Sometimes I put it on and just to get to a freeway. Maybe I'm trapped in San Diego, don't know where to go. And it'll tell me, how to get there, and I'll just leave it on, and it'll tell me to do something. Well, I'm not going to do it because I know where I'm going. And I never hear, recalculating or redirecting or anything like that.
It's like, John knows what he's doing. We'll just be quiet right now.
Maybe.
Hey, I got a question for you.
What's that?
So, my Kipscape tomato is starting to set fruit. All right.
You have a Kifskate tomato?
Yeah, remember I told you
yeah,
my self-proclaimed Kifskate tomato.
Yeah.
Is starting to set fruit, and it's getting a lot of them because it's big.
Right.
I don't want to cut it back, but it's outgrowing even where it's at. What do you think? I mean, are we still pretty early? I mean, with this weather for the tomatoes, am I weeks away, month away? What do you think?
They're mostly cherry tomatoes.
Correct.
Yeah.
So.
No, they'll start ripening.
Right away?
Yeah, usually it's, well, yours is a seedling, but
right.
Figure 70 days.
Okay.
So probably towards the end of the month.
Towards the end of the month? Yeah. All right. We're gonna have to have a tomato picking party because there is a ton on it. It's crazy how big it is.
Kathy says she was expecting Debra Lee Baldwin.
Yeah, so were we, Kathy. Yeah, we're having a little connection issue with the network right now for those of you that are just chiming in, and hopefully she'll be joining us in a few minutes. Bryan went to go check on the connection in the network room.
Problems in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah.
The problem.
They don't have cell connection there.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I told you we should have gone to Big Rock, but
is that Kathy up north?
This is Kathy from Neyland, California.
Okay, because I'm trying to think which.
Are you thinking?
Oh yeah, no.
You're thinking from Kathy
from not Fortuna. That's
Eureka.
Eureka.
Right.
Yeah. They were on a houseboat trip right now.
Oh.
So if she was joining us, I was going to ask her how it's going.
They have joined us from boats before.
Yeah.
So I guess it just depends on cell reception.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where the satellites are. I was I had a Gerbera daisy come up and bloom that I used to have in a container, and I don't know if they're still available, and I couldn't remember the variety anymore, but it was a class and the plants were probably, I think the plants themselves got about
foliage
2 feet tall. The
foliage on a Gerbera daisy.
On a Gerbera, and then the blooms were probably about 6 inches across. And this morning I went out and looked at one in bloom. It's a full double bloom, and I always tell my wife I have total recall, just not on demand. But the name popped in my head, and I remembered what it was, and they were called spinners. Do you know if those are still available?
I haven't heard of that one.
I'm going to have to look that up.
Yeah?
But it's really cool. But I'm wondering if it's something like the purfled Euryops, the variegated Euryops.
Yeah.
That's now not available anymore.
Right.
And our friend Alice at Loghouse Plants tells me she thinks I might have one of the only ones left in period. So I'm kind of wondering if before I move if I should dig up these spinners.
Yeah. It sounds amazing.
Yeah, they're really cool. I don't think they're that good in the ground. They're better in containers.
Yeah.
But they had been in a container for so long that it was a plastic container and it just broke.
Oh.
And so then I planted them in the ground, and they sat there for a couple years, mostly dead. And this year with all the rain, I think they did pretty good.
How are my dancing geisha dianthus doing?
If you want one, you can pick one up on Monday.
Yeah? They're looking pretty good?
I did send one to, I have to admit, to Marilyn.
Did you?
Up in San Luis
Nice.
Obispo.
She'll love it.
Yeah, she called me and placed an order, and I told her I had one spot left, and I would include one of those. I said, but only if you tell me how it did.
My ghost ones are about yay tall now.
They should be getting buds pretty soon.
I was checking them for it, not quite yet, but yeah, like you say, maybe if I go out this weekend or something.
You still have them in pots right now.
Yeah, I still have them in pots. Yeah.
The ones I put in the ground were, I think they probably got 1.5 feet across.
Yeah.
And about 1 foot tall. And when they were done blooming, I would just cut them back, and they'd all come up. And they did that for about 2-3 years.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My son Isaac, I gave him a package of poppy seeds, but the
and let him run wild.
Well, I did let him run wild, but poppy seeds, but the Papa Bear poppies, so like the ladybird or those ones there, the fringe ones, and I said, where did you put them? And he said he put them in this area, right? So I'm working behind my podocarpus hedge that I planted. In the section about this big, there is a whole package of poppy seeds growing. And I got to take a picture. I got to send it to you because he just literally dumped the package right there.
And so now they're coming up now.
Oh, they're coming up, but it's like just filled with these.
Like a ground cover.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I got to take some pictures.
How long from the time you gave them the seeds till you noticed them pop up?
I started seeing some stuff pop up. Probably after I gave him the seeds, about 2 weeks
so he didn't
or
even
3 weeks.
He just poured them on the ground, right?
He just poured them on the ground,
and then the rain, of course.
Yeah, and then the rain, and then there's some water for the podocarpus there, too, so they're doing well.
Isn't that amazing how you can be just so reckless, and then they'll come up and look just fine?
Yep.
Where sometimes you take a lot of time and effort, and just things don't grow properly.
Right, exactly.
Did John do the quote yet while I was gone?
No.
He did not. You know, Jan... on Facebook says that her Get Stuffed tomatoes last year have big
fruit
tomatoes on them.
Hey, and Jan, if you're listening, how was the Get Stuffed? Because we heard all about the plant.
It was new last year.
And it was new last year. And was it an easy to carve out tomato?
It's hollow.
Right. That's what I'm asking.
So you don't need to carve it out.
Well, I want to hear from somebody who grew it though and experienced it.
Yeah. By the way, questions, comments, right there on Facebook Live. We are not on Biz Talk Radio right now this morning, so continue on Facebook.
I do have a few Get Stuffed tomatoes left if somebody wants to put an order.
Did you grow some more this year? I haven't seen any of them go out, so I was wondering.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Those
You haven't done a lot of the Garden America shipment.
No, I've just been doing the other
Gardener
ones.
Supply, yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Here I go.
He's blinking too.
John's blinking.
Do we have any answers on the network or no?
Let's see. No, network is not. That's probably not going to happen.
Okay,
well,
so
then we'll have to call Debra Lee Baldwin at some point.
Yeah.
I asked them for them to call her, let them know what's going on, and we would follow up with a phone call as well.
All right, I'm going to send her a text right now.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So in the meantime, this is what you call winging it here, as the network itself is having problems this morning. We're fine here on Facebook. So questions, comments, continue right here on Facebook. Whatever you want to know, we'll do our best to answer for you. It's John, Bryan, Tiger. We're going to continue. John, how's your computer?
I think it's going to let me do the quote.
I was going to say, one of these days, where everything goes wrong. So the quote of the week by not by John, but read by John.
In the quote. It's flashing at me now. Okay.
Let me get it.
All you can do is laugh
I
when you
can't
have
do
days
it.
like this.
I just can't do it. Okay. My mother was the most beautiful woman I ever saw. All I am, I owe to my mother. I attribute all my success in life to the moral, intellectual, and physical education that I received from her.
Was that Bobcat Goldthwait?
No, that was George Washington.
George Washington.
Yeah. Close.
Yeah, close, right? And his wife, of course, Martha Washington.
Wonder what he meant by physical education.
I don't know.
That was back in the spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Probably the same time. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Hey, can you monitor the Facebook live chatter because we're going to have Debra Lee join the chatter right there, and so I think that we can talk a little bit about some of the things that she was going to mention, and then she should be able to kind of chime in a little bit on the computer for people that are maybe asking a question.
Sure. So it's not going to help by putting the mics on at all, right? That's going to not help at all.
No.
Okay.
Rochelle says that you sound like you're in a cell.
Yeah, no, we're not using mics today for Facebook Live, so.
But we are using hands.
Hand signals, yes. Okay, that's a great idea, Tiger. So let's do it that way.
So she's logged on now.
And then people can interact and ask Debra questions or throw something out there, and then we'll just continue to talk about that subject.
Debra says that technical difficulties cannot keep her away.
Beautiful. That's why we love Debra Lee Baldwin, right?
Yeah, so you can ask your questions on Facebook and make comments, and she's happy to interact with us.
So I just posted Debra's wonderful picture up there on Facebook, but one of the things she sent me were some images of some gift ideas, and we're going to go ahead and start off with the mugs with succulents in them. I'm going to make it small initially, and so that way people can see what we're kind of chatting about and see us still in the room. Now, if you're looking on your Facebook live feed now, you should be able to see a picture, 2 mugs with some succulents coming out of it. And
besides these 3 mugs here, right?
Besides these 3.
Okay.
And so, one of the neat things with the succulents, with this revolution of combinations, is that you can kind of do anything you want with them. She's came in here before and talked about how she's glued them to hats, attached them to jewelry. They stay for weeks, months, depending on how you take care of them. And, so it's kind of a neat concept that you can have any container that you want. You can put succulents in it and make it work. Now, Debra, you're following. Were these mugs done in soil, or is this using more like an oasis material, like a floral arrangement? Because to me it looks, John, like it's overflowing with succulents. This looks more like a floral arrangement.
It does, doesn't it? Succulent floral arrangement.
Well, did you also look at those mugs? They have aloes on them.
Oh, that's cute.
Which is really nice, and you might be wondering, well, I've never seen those. Well, the reason is Debra designed those mugs herself.
Yeah, those are
what? Really?
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. And I think, well, she'll have to tell us on Facebook, but I think that she offers those on her website.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm not positive.
So I know she's the artist. I know she does her paintings. And yeah, it looks like she does say, those gift mugs for Mother's Day are a DIY project on my website.
So there, and she posted the link right there if you want to purchase some, I guess, right?
Yeah. And
I still have arrangements that Debra Lee put together for me from years ago. So
yeah?
like 9 years ago, succulents in my patio. So, Debra, they're still doing well. I'm taking care of them.
Yeah.
I've not overwatered them. That's what you have to remember with succulents, especially with the rain we've had.
Oh.
Your succulents don't need any water.
Well, and that's a good point because, a mug like this or some of the combination pots that you don't use holes in, you can set them outside, but there's no drainage. So when it does rain a lot, they have to be emptied or somewhat taken care of to be able to make sure they don't rot out.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that.
If you have some outside, make sure you pour it out, but no more water for the succulents.
I just thought of a great advantage to having the network go down is we don't have to take commercial breaks.
No commercial breaks. No. It's 2 hours of talking.
Lucky I brought a big cup of coffee.
That's the first thing they ask you in radio when you do a talk show. Can you talk by yourself for 2 hours? And if you can, you probably have the gig.
Yeah.
If not, I'm running out of things to say in 5 minutes. It's like giving a comedian a 20-minute set, right?
Yeah.
And he only has 10 minutes prepared.
Right. Got to keep it. You got to stretch it out. So the next little picture I put up is a succulent combination that she sent us over as well. This is in a bowl, like a shallow bowl, and this actually has cactus in it.
That looks like a saucer.
It kind of does, but I'm going to pull the picture up a little bit, and you'll notice maybe it's a little bit deeper.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's got the cactus, it's got some rocks, it's got the nice soil covering with some gravel, different varieties, and it's kind of cool because it's like almost like a miniature garden where it's almost like you're looking at a landscape, but it's only small, kind of a thing. And so
it's like if you shrank down, you could shrink yourself down. You'd be in this big, huge desert, and you could
exactly,
from the land unknown.
Yeah. I know what you're thinking too. You're thinking, I would love to have that in little dinosaurs that I could put in there and move.
and you know what's funny about that is the last time Debra Lee was here, is she did put little things around.
Yeah,
little ornament things around the cactus.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I'd put some dinosaurs in there. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Little animals. Yeah, that would be fun.
And now these are true cactus, though. So, John, maybe you can
she does have some succulents in there because she's got euphorbia and she's got aloes.
Aloe, but the difference between the mug arrangement that she had before, and then this.
I think that was all succulents.
Right.
Right.
But and then this is cactus. The difference in kind of taking care of those or growing those, the cactus, don't they require less water than even the succulents? Sometimes don't they tolerate less water?
The cactus do.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So even if you're watering that succulent arrangement for once a week, usually they can tolerate it. They can withstand it. They might not need it, but they can tolerate it. A cactus maybe once a week could almost be overwatering sometimes for some people.
It could, but the succulents will also do fine with watering once every 2 weeks, sometimes once a month, depending on the temperatures outside and where the plant is. So So you don't need to give the succulents enough water to keep them alive that would be harmful to the cactus. So
got it. So they can kind of be on the same page.
You can easily mix them together.
Yeah.
And she's got some mammillaria in there and some old man cactus.
Old man cactus.
Is that the furry white ones?
Yeah.
You just took a guess, right? Oh, the furry white ones must be the old man cactus.
Altman's started this. Altman's specialty plants back. Oh God, I think this was 30 years ago, maybe even 40 years ago. They were selling those cactus with googly eyes on them. So they would put two googly eyes on the cactus, and to kind of remind everybody back then knew who Cousin It was.
Right, of course.
So it kind of remind you of that. And then what's his name? Christopher Walken was it Saturday Night Live or something? And you can Google this on YouTube, and you can come up with this whole bit about where he's a horticulturalist in a greenhouse and is talking about putting googly eyes on your plants.
Because he has googly eyes.
Yeah, and so, I mean, all the it's just hilarious. I mean, you look at it and, you can imagine him doing that.
Yeah.
But anyway, and excuse me, back to your question about Kathy Ray.
Yeah.
She did join us.
Oh, welcome. From the boat? Is she still on the boat? Kathy, good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah.
Always on a boat on the weekends.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. Like, I follow her on Facebook, so, like, I see her in Hank's Adventures.
Right.
I thought they had a lot of energy when we went on our trip to England. But I feel like that was like a vacation for them. Because their other vacations that they do are way more involved and doing and here and there. And yeah.
What else do we have to put up there? Tiger, anything?
All right. Next one. Yep. Let's see here. This one was really cool. Now, I'm going to leave this one small initially. And just at first glance, Brian, when it pops up there, it's going to pop up over John and I's head. What kind of plant do you think that is?
Okay,
because
come up yet.
Yeah, I'm watching you. Because when you first see this at first glance in a small image, your inclination, I feel, it's Mother's Day, right? So what are you thinking?
Those are succulents.
Well, you weren't supposed to say that at first glance,
I'm sorry.
Man. It looks like a hydrangea, right? It looks like a hydrangea at first glance.
But yeah, if you look closer, you can see. I didn't mean to blow it. Sorry.
Yeah, way to spoil my skit.
Hey, just want to remind people too, because Debra answered a question to somebody. Some people aren't listening to Biz Talk Radio now, and they're playing a previous show. So try not to get confused. Stick with us on Facebook or listen to last week's show. That's fine too.
Of course, if you are listening to Biz Talk Radio,
you wouldn't hear me saying this, right? But thank you, Debra Lee, for letting the person know what's going on.
And Debra has agreed to answer questions direct. Yeah. So if you want to post a question direct to her.
Post a question, comments right now.
Sure, you can bypass us.
Yeah, you can bypass us. Or we'll chime in if we have to. Now, what kind of...
So let me blow this one up for us here to see it in the full screen. Those all look like echeverias. My image went away now too, though. But yeah, it looks like mostly echeverias. Maybe some sempervivums. I can't really tell in there, but they're all that blue, pinkish tones.
Oh, that's nice.
And it's done up like a big globe. And you would never think initially, like, oh, succulents. You think greens and reds, maybe some yellows, but they have a lot that are in the blues. And now, there's techniques into bringing out those blues, right, John?
Techniques?
Yeah,
techniques
like growing them in more shade or more sun. Like,
getting more blue out of them when they mature.
Like the colorations, like to be more striking, right? If you put them in full sun, doesn't it kind of weaken the colors in them? But if you grow them in kind of a part shade area, they come out stronger.
We'd have to see what Debra says about that. I don't know if that's necessarily true.
No?
I think that it's called that glaucous covering, sometimes called a bloom, and I noticed that in full sun it's thicker.
Oh, okay.
Because it kind of protects the leaves. But as far as the color, I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
One warning, though, is that if you touch the plant, you can wipe that off,
And then it becomes...
And it doesn't grow back.
Oh.
So you can even, if you look close, you can see, like, they're not fingerprints, but you can see where...
Smudges or growing smudges or something. Yeah, so now, so are you telling me that you can't take a pink succulent and make it blue by adding aluminum sulfate?
No, now you're mixing those ranges.
Oh, that'd be really cool, though, right?
We got a lot of good comments on this arrangement that we're showing on Facebook right now.
Yeah, Michelle says she loves that.
Now, anybody that's growing succulents, now, here's one of the things, for those of you that are watching this show and kind of like having like inspiration and kind of like a DIY aspect of it, and they go to a nursery and they want to like be like, I want this to happen. Okay. Now, I'm trying to count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'd say there's probably close to about 12 to 15 plants. And I don't know how big it is, per se, but it's probably like little 4-inch pot-sized plants, right? So if you were to go to a nursery and you wanted...
each individual plant.
Yeah.
And you were... 4-inch or maybe even 2-inch.
Maybe 2-inch, right? If you were to go to a nursery and you were to buy 15 4-inch succulents to do this, it's gonna set you back probably $60 to $80, to make this happen. They're about $4 to $5 a piece, and you'd have to put them all together nice and tight like that to make that happen, right? So when people see these arrangements and when people want to do this, that's one way to do it, but also, an even better way to do it is start these in your yard, grow them out, because then you can just start harvesting.
You can just take cuttings and put them in.
And do the same thing, because people get really hung up on that too. They want to come to the nursery, they want to do it, and then like, oh my gosh, that's an expensive task. It's an expensive undertaking to make happen with, because even the 2-inch succulents are $2, $2.50. That you add up a bunch of those, because we always see there's Debra would know. I think Debra, Mike Pyle, I think is his name. He's a designer that works with succulents a lot, but he does like huge kind of swaths and arrangements with all these succulents. But I look at it and I'm like, that's like thousands of dollars in succulents there, because they're all like 4-inch pots or something like that to do these designs. So,
Deborah's being so kind. She goes, I don't mind not being on the air. I love being on Facebook and typing emojis and answering questions.
Chance to use emojis.
Debra, thank you so much. We do appreciate you hanging in there with us today. Last minute technical problem with BizTalk Radio. Now, of course, last week's show or some show of ours is playing, but we are live here on Facebook today with Debra Lee Baldwin. Post your questions, comments on Facebook to Debra, and she's happy to answer.
Yeah. Hey, Linda from Reading wants to know if you can, if succulents will grow in partial shade. And that's kind of what
you were asking.
We were talking about.
Yeah.
But for sure, echeverias or echeverias, actually, I think, do better in partial shade.
If you go to a lot of commercial succulent growers, there's a lot of shade structures that they put up to grow them, right?
Yeah. And that's so they don't burn.
Right.
Because in a Reading, too, is going to be hot.
Yeah.
So you could get burn on those plants. And the bad thing about a cactus or a succulent, once it's sunburned,
you're done.
It's permanent.
Yeah,
it's permanent damage. You need laser treatment to get rid of that afterwards.
Somebody wrote, where can I get the blue ones? But I can't see who it came from.
It came from Lenore.
That's from Lenore, and she's up in Canyon Country.
So
you can get them at Home Depot.
Yeah.
Most of those plants that Debra's using are grown by Altman plants. And Altman supplies all the Home Depots. Altman's is the largest succulent grower in the world.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And they have their own breeder, hybridizer, that works, actually 2 hybridizers that work for them. And
they're always introducing new ones.
Yeah.
And they just put them out there for people. There's really, like if it was like a nursery, this would be like a specialty item.
Right.
No, next to the little garden center where they have some of the plants in the landscape that have been growing out for a while. It's worth the trip if you ever have a chance to go to. It's called Oasis. It's up there in Escondido.
Right, yeah, beautiful.
And Debra mentions that they prefer partial shade, and the farther inland you go, the more shade. And then she says when you get in the desert, they prefer full shade.
Wow.
Probably because I imagine the heat.
Right.
Yeah, the sunburn.
And then Carolyn in Newport Beach wants to know, she says, my bronze aeonium is a foot tall and has yellow flower spikes on the top. When it dies back, do I cut it off and cut the stalk back? And will it grow back?
No, it will not.
It won't?
The aeonium?
Yeah.
When you cut the flower spike off, it doesn't put out a new flower spike.
No, I think she wants to know if the plant will be
okay.
Okay. Flower spike.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And let me explain that dormant, because it's not always dormant. Like,
it's not going to lose all its leaves.
It's not going to lose. It turns into this real tight, small rosette,
right,
where it was normally this big rosette, and everybody gives it more water, but then they end up rotting it out.
Right, because it is dormant.
Yeah.
It just sits there during the summer.
That seems to be the answer to everything. When people see a plant that's in distress,
more water.
More water. Well, hold on. That's not always the case. In fact, probably people hurt plants more by overwatering more than not, because everyone's conscious of watering. But hold off on the overwatering. John?
There's a new aeonium that came from Altman's a few years back that's really pretty, called Mardi Gras.
Haven't seen it.
Oh, it's got... You're familiar with the variegated one, right?
Yeah.
Well, this one is variegated, but instead of the other's kind of a cream and green variegation, right? This one is it's like a party. It's like pinks and ivories and greens, like all mixed together, really pretty. And it's one you have to look for, but if you look for it, you can find it. And if you Google it, if you want to see what it looks like, just Google Mardi Gras aeonium.
How big do the rosettes get? Because sometimes some get big, some are smaller.
It's not as big as the huge ones,
okay,
but it's probably as big as the Schwarzkopf, which is
that deep burgundy one that is really popular. And that one also gets a lot of heads on it, where sometimes it's just like one or two heads on the varieties. You know, that one usually gets a lot of rosettes off of the one plant.
Debra Lee also mentions that one of her favorite sources is Mountain Crest Gardens. She said they used to be mainly sempervivums, but now they've expanded their inventory.
Is that a mail order, Debra?
Well, she's got the
link to it. Oh, perfect.
So you could click on. It sounds like a mail order. Actually, now you piqued my interest.
Deborah's helping us out today, posting all these links.
John's going to start ordering plants over there. We just lost him. We just lost him. He's like, wait a minute, new mail order plants?
He's like a kid who wanders off.
Yeah.
He saw something bright and beautiful.
Exactly. So, for those of you that are watching right now, you can log on to Debra's website to see more more videos on how to. She has these DIY kits. Debra, go ahead and make sure you post your website, just the basic link there on the Facebook Live feed for us, would you? And, there's a lot of good info in there. But some of the other things that people need to know, aside from Debra's Succulents, is that she does the art, where she has a lot of, painting books, a lot of books that come out with pictures. She's, truly an amazing woman with a lot of talent. So
she's a Jill of all trades.
There you go.
And she's answering questions right now on Facebook. Debra, thank you so much. Those on Facebook, keep those questions coming. Debra says she loves to use emojis and she can type fast.
Yeah.
So no slowing down.
The Mountain Crest Garden link that she had was to a Facebook link, and you can order from them through their Facebook page.
Okay,
awesome.
Beautiful.
So that would be something to check out.
So I don't know if I've ever
learned something new
today.
I love it when I learn
something. He's off wandering on.
He's lost.
Are you a succulent guy?
I am a succulent guy to some extent.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. So I can definitely appreciate like of all the pictures that Debra has with her 3 ones that she sent me, this little succulent garden is one that piques my interest. Little combination bowl. It's got cactus and succulents.
Which one?
The one with the cactus and the succulents in it.
Yes.
It looks like a little landscape.
Right.
I can appreciate that.
The ones I want to put dinosaurs in.
Yeah. I can also appreciate when they do like the real thick combos of just succulents.
Sure.
Different colors, shapes in a pot. In the landscape,
Yeah, Debra's first book was Landscaping with Succulents.
Yeah.
And I think they're really cool, especially for dry landscapes.
Well, let me ask you, with your new house, do you have any plans to do dryscaping at all?
I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
I think so, because now I've got the room. Before, room was at a premium.
Sure.
And
a little cactus garden, rocks and stuff. It'd be really nice.
well, I'm
John.
definitely going to have a dry riverbed. So I'm planning on putting some Australian natives through there, and probably some larger aloes and things like that. So I'll probably I have plenty of room for cactus and succulents.
Yeah.
Cool. I have currently the agave, the variegated attenuata one.
Right.
And I use this plant whenever I don't have water going somewhere. The calandrinia.
Oh, that's really nice.
It's got the real, I don't know what to call it. It's pink, but it's a bright pink, like a fluorescent pink.
Yeah, almost like a lavender pink.
Yeah, and it's a succulent, but it just goes crazy, and it's really easy to take care of because
puts out flower spikes that are kind of supple and they kind of wave in the wind.
Really
with
pretty.
a lot of flowers on each stem.
Really easy to grow. It spreads. It's one of those plants that spreads to overtake, but is easy to control.
Is it good ground cover?
Yeah, it's a good ground cover because it spreads, and it kind of is a mounding ground cover, but
If it doesn't get out of hand, you can control it.
it does get out of hand, but I mean, with succulents, like normally, say you had a rosemary and you were growing a rosemary in a large swath, right? In order to maintain that, you'd have to have some hedge shears. You'd have to get in there. You'd have to prune it out. You'd have to cut things out, dig out parts of it.
Maintenance.
Right. Okay. With the calandrinia, all you do is go back with your hand, bare hand. You just break off parts. Like they just snap off, and you just throw them in the trash, and then it regrows, and it's really easy to take care of. So I like that.
Makes you feel better because you've ripped something. It's your frustration.
It would be a good frustration get out is just go out and then you don't feel bad also doing it because it's just going to come back.
Exactly.
They just come back so easily, Now,
I was going to say, Star mentioned online that she likes aeoniums, but she woke up this morning to a massive epiphyllum blooming.
Oh.
And she wanted to point out that if you're in San Diego, that the San Diego Epiphyllum Society is selling plants at the Prado all weekend. And I don't know, along with the plants, I think they usually sell cuttings. It's interesting if you go buy an epiphyllum cutting, you always want to know what variety it is. And usually when you buy a plant, it's got a tag on it. With epiphyllums, they put the cutting there and then they take a Sharpie and write on the leaf what variety it is.
It's just right there on the leaf, huh?
Yeah, just right there on the leaf. And they root. It's almost impossible not to be able to root one from a leaf.
Yeah, and what's the one that is it? The epiphyllum, also the white one that blooms.
The night blooming Sirius.
That's Sirius.
Yeah,
Sirius.
It is. That's an epiphytic.
Oh, it is also.
It's an epiphytic plant. I'm trying to think if it's in the same genus as epiphyllum because there's a couple genera that are closely related but a little different genus.
Yeah.
The what's the fruit? Dragon fruit.
Dragon fruit
is not that genus, but it's similar.
And it looks exactly like it.
It's like Hylocereus or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Outstanding.
Let's see. We've got a response here from Debra to Linda, which I can't see because it says new comments.
Is it an agave, the green one with red borders? What kind?
Oh, it's from that picture. Did you see it, John?
Linda is asking.
I did not see the picture.
Let me show you the picture.
Okay.
This one. That one there.
Oh, that's an aloe.
Yeah.
It's a type of aloe, and it looks like one of the Renee O'Connell is one of Altman's breeders, and she does a lot of work with echeverias, but then also with aloes. And I think the kiwi, not the kiwi, the Mardi Gras aeonium we were talking about is one of hers.
One of Renee's?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she's got some awesome plants.
Yeah.
A lot of people welcoming Debra. Hi, Debra.
So
Debra's off on her own, in her own world.
That's
here.
fine, right there, sharing our Facebook page.
Sending emojis to people.
Beautiful.
Have you ever been to a lecture with Debra Lee?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've gone to one of hers. Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, there's standing room only. There's just, it's a mob of people. And one of the most amazing things about it is that her lectures are interesting.
Gee, how about that, huh?
I mean, I've been a horticulturalist for over 50 years, and when I go and listen to her, I go, I'm thinking in my mind, wow, I'm really entertained.
New information you weren't aware of, and she has a great presentation.
Yeah.
It's all about the presentation.
Well, she's a nice person, too.
She's all those things, and we really appreciate her.
Yeah, I think the last one I went to up in, might have been at the one of the San Francisco flower shows, but again, it was standing room only, and she was talking, I may get all the details wrong on this, but she was generally talking about how long she's been growing succulents and how long she's lived in the home where she is now. So she's got a lot of succulents and a lot of gardens, and she said that she just got it in her mind to go out and take pictures of what her neighbors were doing and succulents, how they were growing in the yard. I think she thought in her mind that everybody so close to me's got to be doing everything right. And she had some really funny pictures about how this is absolutely what you don't want to do.
Right.
Like in the little median by the between the walk and the road, people were planting century plants.
Oh yeah, where they're going to overhang and not allow cars to park.
You park and you try to get out and you get stuck. And
yeah,
it was funny.
It's the same thing we talk about all the time before you plant something. What's it going to look like in 5 years? What's it going to do in a year? What are the roots going to do?
Well, and one of the hard things with succulents is we're talking about where you get these plants is, a lot of people go to the store and they find them in a little 2-inch or 4-inch. And it'll be an agave, a tenuata, in a 4-inch pot because they just grow it from, a little seedling or whatever, right? And they bring it home. They don't realize that plant is going to get 6 feet wide and send out a bloom spike that's going to overhang it by 12 feet. And so I think they don't always think about succulents overtaking areas because they always start them so small. They always start with such a small mass usually and then let it grow. And then the other thing is that they see them in pots. So they think, because it's in a pot, because it's in this little arrangement, if I put it in my landscape, it'll just, can you imagine?
Just like that.
Like the one arrangement that I like with those cactus and that aloe that you just mentioned, right? Say you were to take that and put it in the ground, and you were to water and take care of it. That aloe, I'm not 100% sure.
That's a little dwarf one.
Okay, but some of them can get large. The cactus
can get a class of aloes called tree aloes.
Yeah.
Because they get as big as trees.
And that cactus can get, 6 feet tall and send out spikes.
I would have to imagine cactus and succulents might be the most misunderstood of our horticultural world in terms of general knowledge.
Yeah.
Just like you're talking about,
So you're saying Debra has not done a good job writing books and informing
No, what I'm saying is
that's why she's here spreading the message.
Right, the opposite. She's changing people's views and changing their minds on succulents. Well, she sure did with me. I still have 2 or 3 of her arrangements that she did 8 years ago.
Well, as long as Debra's with us and we're saying nice things about her, she has probably done more. Because you're saying misunderstood, I think plants have readily come. Cactus and succulents have just recently come to the general gardening public.
Yeah.
And by recent, I mean within the last 30 years.
Yeah.
And Debra, probably more so than any other person I can think of, has done an important job of raising public awareness about their versatility and all the places they can be used.
And the varieties and the ways to be used. Because that was it. When you moved,
when Debra started,
people would take cactus, and they were all separated out.
Well, what they would do is put one plant per pot and line them up in a row. One in a clay pot, and you line up like 30 pots in a row. Right?
Yeah. When you first
nobody ever thought of putting 2 in the same pot, let alone.
And then 2 varieties, two different ones, and so And I mean, back to this one that she put together. When you look at that, I mean, is it overplanted in a way where you're like, yes, it's overplanted. There's too many plants in that one pot.
Right.
But that's not what it's meant to be. It's an arrangement. It's meant to be that ability. And all those and just plugged it into some kind of medium.
Right.
It still could be used later on. It isn't forgotten. This isn't your classic Mother's Day arrangement that gets thrown in the trash after 3 weeks because the blooms are done. 3 weeks later, if you're tired of this arrangement, you simply take those plugs out.
Cactus and succulents, you have an arrangement that will stay probably just the way it is for 4 to 6 months. And then after that, like you say, you can do whatever you want with it. You can move it around, you can take cuttings, you can plant them in the ground.
Yeah.
So, yeah, very versatile.
Now, when we talk about these cuttings and after the fact, you kind of can use them. The healing, they talk about healing a cutting from a succulent, letting it callus over.
Right.
Explain why do we do that again? Because I was just talking to someone about that at the nursery this week, and I was saying, once you get it growing, you take a cutting, you put it off in the shade, leave it set for 5 days, a week, or whatever it is like that, and then plant it in there. And my thought is that if you leave it fresh in like a potting soil or something, it rots it right away.
Right.
And the healing prevents it from rotting. Am I correct?
Yeah. And that's really the main purpose of letting it callus over, is so it doesn't rot, because in order for roots to form, it does need some type of moisture.
Mm-hmm.
Not wet, but there has to be some moisture so that the plant knows, hey, if I initiate some roots, I'm going to be able to replicate myself or survive. I can take up the moisture that I need to live. But if you've just put a cutting in straight that hasn't calloused over, it also takes in rotting bacteria, and so that it just rots immediately. The same thing with other succulent type plants like plumeria.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing would happen. So you have to let those callus over.
And now, would using a seed starting mix, because we talk about a seed starting mix being like a sterile environment versus a cactus or a potting soil, would that be even one step more? Like, if you really cared about your cutting, this would be the next step to kind of take? Because I know at the same time, we all sit here and we can say, well, I've dropped a succulent cutting on the ground and it started by itself, kind of a thing.
Right.
But if this was like a really important plant to you, would you even need to take that next step or not really?
Well, I think seed starting soils, they're sterile.
But they hold water. So it's almost...
So a cactus mix would probably be better, something that's going to drain really fast. Or just a regular potting soil or a seed starting potting soil that maybe you add 50% perlite.
Perlite with it.
And so you could do that with the seed starting soil. If you moistened it first, put in 50% perlite and mixed it all up, then you'd have something that drained really well and would still be
still sterile.
Yeah, so that would be a good way to do it.
Yeah.
My computer's flashing at me again.
It's telling you what's going on. You've got messages. I'm going to see if there's any Facebook messages, because I know Bryan's gone, so I got to follow it over here.
Debra was telling us about an event that was going on with Jessica, and she said that they're getting ready for 300 people to make potted herb gardens.
Wow.
So I forget where
we went from succulents to herbs, huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure where that event was, because my computer just flashes at me when I try to see what it was. So I can go back a little bit. But there's a lot going on for Mother's Day. Jessica says that, well, Debra says that Jessica is over at Flower Hill in Del Mar.
Oh, in Del Mar.
Flower Hill Promenade.
Okay.
So she's doing a succulent event over there.
Nice.
So you said you were planning Mother's Day.
Yes.
For
Janine.
Janine, what are you going to do?
So tomorrow we are going to go to church in the morning. We're going to go to a donut place. What is it? Yum Yum Donuts.
Yum Yum Donuts?
That bagels.
Is that still around?
Yeah, I was going to ask the same question.
I think it's Yum Yum. Yeah, Yum Yum.
Not Dunkin'.
Not Dunkin'. No,
Yeah,
no.
well, there must be very few of those left.
All over the place. And then we're going to Yum Yum because she has this bagel there that she really likes to get, and the kids love donuts. And then we're going to come home, and she's going to go hang out with a few girlfriends for a while, and then we're going to go downtown if the weather's nice, and putz around at the county park and have some dinner down there, and it'll be fun.
Debra Lee says that those mugs that were available in her Zazzle store are just cuttings, not planted in there at all.
Oh, nice. So it's just kind of set in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I'm looking at those right now.
Yeah, she says they're on faux stems, and I've seen Debra attach cuttings to just long stems so you could stick them into an arrangement. Yeah.
I mean, because what she does is part, I don't know, what would you say, horticulturalist, part
floriculture.
But then also part florist,
Yeah.
like you're saying.
Yeah.
Like,
I think she's created new avenues, new subject matter when it comes to this in terms of the right words we're looking for to what she does. Would you say, John,
floriculture.
Floriculture.
Yeah, when I went to, when I graduated from Michigan State, I got a degree in horticulture.
It wasn't chemistry?
No, that was University of Michigan. I quickly found out after a year that's not what I should be.
But
anyway, you could get a degree in horticulture. You could also get a degree in floriculture. And floriculture was gardening. Horticulture is gardening with products in the home and landscape. Floriculture is using green products in the florist industry. Arrangements and growing house plants and things like that.
Well, I definitely think she's come up with her own new categories of what she does. I mean, I guess you'd say, what doesn't she do?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, now that you mentioned that, Jessica says you should see her paintings.
Yep.
She's and she sends me a calendar every year, and frequently the calendars are her watercolors of different succulents.
Wow.
And I think after I move, I need to commission
some artwork.
Artwork from her. Right.
Her and Kathy both give you good artwork.
Be good.
We have some of. Are you talking about Kathy from Eureka?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
yes.
We have some pieces from her in our home.
We have. It's funny you mentioned that because we have a piece hanging in our bedroom, and our smallest cat just couldn't believe, like, how come I can't touch that? To him, it was a window looking outside. It was a very nice picture she painted, but it's so realistic. So we had to move the picture so the cat wouldn't scratch it.
Yeah.
So, Kathy, the picture's fine. It's in a safe place. It's up high.
And then one of the neat things, we kind of are talking a lot about the arrangements that Debra's putting together. It is Mother's Day tomorrow. If you haven't done anything, haven't gotten anything together, if you know someone that has a garden with succulents, if you go to her website, see some inspiration, see some ideas. These are still things.
Go to the garden with a flashlight.
Exactly, and steal people's succulents. But no, you can still do this really easily and well. Right. You know what I mean? And you can save yourself a lot of money because I know if you go to a florist right now to go get a flower arrangement for Mother's Day, they're like $80, $100,
Wait till
kind
Monday,
of
right?
Yeah.
Here, last minute gift for your mom. Here are the flowers that normally cost $100.
Yeah.
Pay $20.
Yeah, but and in the videos. How to, really good explanation on what to do and how to do it, you know. And it's all stuff that you can probably just do at your house. You don't need to go to the store and buy anything. I hate to downplay what Debra's doing here, and I'm trying not to, but a beautiful mug, go get 20 cuttings and then arrange them together. And it's very difficult to make it look as good as she does. But you could possibly put something
but
together.
She's a good source for ideas.
And that's what I'm saying.
That's
if you
what
go
you're
there
saying,
and go to her...
But it's not, I don't think it's that difficult. You just copy what she's done. Really.
Yeah.
I mean, you buy one of her mugs and you stick in the exact same thing she did. How can you go wrong?
If you have those growing in your yard...
Though, when she does it, it just seems to be a little better for some reason.
Yes, it is. It is.
It's like two people cooking with the same recipe. And one just tastes really good, the other's okay.
Yeah. You followed the recipe, but it's just okay.
Right. Yeah. Plus, a lot of what she does is original, too. So, no, there's no ending to what she does.
Yeah. I don't know if Debra has posted at all. I haven't been able to follow so much of the chatter. But, she had mentioned an event that Jessica is going to, but I wonder if Debra has anything coming up in the future that she would want to let us know about.
Let us know on Facebook, Debra, what's going on.
And how people can go and how people can go. Because, like, as we were mentioning, if you've ever gone to one of her lectures or seminars, classes, it's worth it. You walk away with a lot of great ideas. You walk away in a good mood. I've never...
You can't wait to do what she's just shown you.
Yeah, met Debra on a bad day, in the sense of she's always been a very...
Oh, you don't want to either.
Oh, yeah.
That day back in 2014, John.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
That was quite the day. How long ago was it that we were at Altman's with her?
Wasn't Altman's, it was Euro-American.
That's right. Okay.
That's where we first met her. We were doing a remote, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, that's exactly right. And that's when afterwards she helped me with these arrangements.
And John Rader came up to me and said, no, that was at Oasis.
Well, I've been around Debra more than I thought.
Yeah, that Oasis is owned by Altman's. But prior to that,
we did a remote.
Is when we first met her, was over at Euro-American. Mm-hmm. And John Rader said, you need to meet this woman. And she had mentioned she was working with Succulents, and I don't think she had written her book yet, or she was in the process of it.
3 books. I know that her.
She's already done one twice.
I think we have her second book in our coffee table. I think it's her second book.
I think she has Succulents Simplified, Designing with Succulents, Container Succulents, and then she's got a coloring book.
But she's done one of them twice already. She's already done a second edition on the container one, I think.
No, the first one,
Designing
with
Succulents.
Succulents.
Because she said last time she was here that she learned some things afterwards. After the book came out.
Changed it.
Changed things a little bit, which is normal, which is really good that you're able to see that and go, you know what?
I think if I remember correctly, one of the things that she mentioned was she used stipa, Mexican feathergrass, in the first book. And then I think she took it out in the second book. That's one of those grasses that reproduces like crazy.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I hope Rochelle is not cursing us here with this comment.
Uh-oh.
Because she says 2 hours straight, I love it. Like, no commercials.
Uninterrupted.
Yeah, uninterrupted. I want you guys to do this all the time.
Oh, no.
Maybe someday, you never know. But we do need to pay a few bills. And our wonderful sponsors help keep us on the air. We understand. Trust us. We all listen to the radio as well. And sometimes you sit through those breaks.
Yeah, no, if we had planned, we could have probably included some commercials into our podcast now, or our
Debra,
Facebook Live now.
She lost the audio.
Uh-oh.
Is it still on?
Should be.
So
maybe refresh.
Debra just needs to refresh.
Anytime you lose the screen or the audio, refresh your page.
Right, so if you can't hear us right now, just refresh.
Yeah.
So you either need to sign that or maybe
Tiger can
type in there.
This is Steel second.
Yep.
Right, isn't that what we're doing? So,
right.
Okay, all right. Make sure we're on the same page. Well, we've managed to talk for at least an hour. How about that?
It's been an hour and
11 minutes.
And a few minutes.
Jessica says that Debra has an event next weekend.
Oh.
Okay, Jessica.
We'll have to get that posted.
Is Jessica her press agent?
No, Jessica's the one that has the event that she's doing over at Flower Hill in Del Mar.
She's one of the other succulent designer people with Debra. I'm getting texts from Susan right now in Wales. Sorry. I think she just feels left out right now.
Well, it must be about, 6:15? I'm going to guess, around there.
I mean, if she's still there, she just keeps sending me pictures of the abbey that she's at. You know,
I know what that's like when you're someplace on vacation and it's something so beautiful you want to share it right away. Yeah. I get it. I got to send this off. I got to put this on Facebook to get people to see, because you want to share your trip with them. The last couple of trips we came back, people said it was like I was with you every day. I was following what you were doing, and I was able to keep up and understood exactly where you were and what you were doing. And these are some of these.
Well, you're going to want to do that on our next trip too.
Oh, absolutely.
I talked to Matthew from Earthbound Expeditions, and he said that he's in Europe right now because this is the high season for all their tours and stuff. But he said he is working on ours, and within the next couple weeks, it should be finished.
Let the people know again what we're talking about, John.
Well, we're hoping to go to the International Wildflower Festival in Slovenia.
Slovenia.
In the Slovenian Alps, trying to think of what the other name for it is.
Greetings from the Slovenian Alps. See, that's the kind of thing you want.
And then
Austria?
And then from there we'll go to Austria, and from Austria we'll end up in Prague in the Czech Republic. So lots of castles to see, gardens to see. And in Slovenia we'll be in Lake Bled, which I keep telling you guys is the most beautiful place I've ever seen in my entire life.
Even better than my patio?
Well, it's close.
Okay.
It's bigger than your patio.
Right. But the beauty, come on now.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's like a fairy tale. If you look at it...
I kind of got that feeling when we were in Lake Como, and I was walking down the city, the sidewalk there, and there was houses and residential areas. I look up, and here's this big, beautiful lake. And you just
same type of feeling, except, there's an island in the middle of this lake, Lake Bled, and there's a monastery on there, which I think is like from the 1400s or something like that. Just really, really interesting.
So we're hopefully planning that the 2020 around what, June?
Yeah, the first week in June, right around there.
Okay.
That's when the
a lot of
Wildflower
interest right off the
Festival
bat when we mentioned it. So.
Oh yeah, a lot of people want to sign up now, but we need all the details first.
Need the details, absolutely. So about a year away.
Yeah.
1 year away. Just like that, it'll be here.
So Debra, next Saturday, May 18th, she's going to be presenting at a garden event in Oceanside.
Ooh.
And she did put a link to that. It has tickets on there, so it sounds like something you might have to get tickets.
Yeah.
Lenore's also commenting about how it's great without commercials.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy it. Enjoy it this week.
Yeah, we're going to have to do, what does the public radio do? The fundraiser?
The fundraiser, yeah. You know, if you don't want commercials,
we'll do
a Go Fund Garden America page.
Yeah, there we go. We can go straight 2 hours.
Yeah, straight 2 hours, no commercials, and we can say truthfully that this show is supported by our fine viewers.
Is asking about special soil for succulents. We were talking a little bit about that.
Well drained, right?
There is usually if you go to your local garden center or home improvement center, you can find cactus, and it's just a soil that drains quickly. Yeah. You know, most cactus and succulents will tolerate a lot of water as long as they don't sit in it.
Well, as long as the water has a place to go.
So as long as it drains quickly. Yeah, you know, there are succulents that are native to the rainforest. So you got to figure they're getting water all the time.
Sure.
But they
it's
grow
going someplace.
Well, they grow in trees, so the water, they get
right
water,
away.
but it
I should take a
disappears.
picture of the Sharon and John for our wedding gave us a succulent arrangement with a little radio on the side. Really nice. Well, the radio has since come out and it's been put someplace else in the house. But you ought to see how out of control the succulents are. And this is with me trimming them now and then.
Yeah.
So what do you do when you trim them? Throw them away or
I just trim the little leggy, little spindly little things that come out.
Just throw them out.
Yeah.
I will mention on the cactus and succulent mix, you said it's usually very well draining. The way they make it drain is by using pumice usually.
Pumice or perlite.
Pumice or perlite.
We've added perlite.
But then also they use sand, which makes the bag very heavy. Like when you go to lift a bag of cactus mix and versus a bag of potting soil.
Some of them do, because there's others that have no sand.
No sand.
They're real light, extra light.
Well, I know that the E.B. Stone brand, that bag is substantially heavier than than a potting soil. You know, so
well, because sand's so dense.
Yeah.
So
well, I like sand or pumice because they are heavier than perlite.
Yeah.
Perlite, the wind can blow it away.
And it floats to the top over time, and then
right. But the pumice being heavier, it actually anchors the plants down a little bit.
Yeah.
And you don't have to worry about sticking a cutting in and having it just fall over because there's no support for it.
Yeah. No weight to the soil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I probably should have known this, but I never realized how well Kalanchoe do out in the yard.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because usually you buy them as little house plants, gift plants, and they stay in bloom for, weeks and weeks. And then after that, my wife especially would just let the plant just sit there, stop watering it, and then throw it out on the patio. And I would always rescue these things and kind of put them off to the side. And I didn't take care of them much either, but they stayed alive. Well, as we're getting ready to move and I'm cleaning things up, I came across 6 pots of old Kalanchoe.
In amongst all your other
still alive, a couple putting out flower buds. So I planted them in the ground, and they're all coming back and loaded with blooms. Like if you bought one, fresh from the florist, just spectacular.
So maybe a good plant for a first timer. Oh, I can never grow anything. Here, stick this in the
especially
ground.
if you want something that blooms a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of cool colors.
Easy to take care of, that blooms a lot. The whole.
One of the most popular succulents is a Kalanchoe, that flapjack one.
Oh, right. You're not thinking of flowering succulents.
No, but I'm just saying, you were saying they grow so easily, and they do, and those ones do flower quite a bit too. I mean, they're not known for their flower, but.
And one of the most common succulents that from years and years ago that people learned of when they first got involved with succulents was the panda plant, which is a Kalanchoe.
Kalanchoe, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fuzzy.
There were a lot of succulents named after animals, I think, to attract people's attention.
Can you find a picture of that and put it up there? Are you able to do that, Tiger?
Of what?
No.
The panda plant?
Yeah. I just thought for those that never seen it.
Yeah.
And then there's tiger jaws, which is a crassula, right?
Crassula.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of cool plants.
Yeah, and crassula is another one that you can look at 10 crassulas and never think that they're related. You look at these plants and you look at 10 different ones, and they're all the same. They're all crassula, but they don't look at all like each other. It's kind of interesting to kind of have that strange.
You wouldn't know they were in the same family if you looked at them?
No.
Jessica says that if you're in the San Diego area, that Waterwise Botanicals has got a phenomenal price on 40-pound bags of pumice.
Leave it up to our listeners and viewers. Thank you so much for the tips and the insight.
Yeah.
And Debra Lee says that she's got a pumice page on her website. I know that Debra has mentioned how important pumice is.
Yeah.
And pumice is also good as a top dressing if you're doing a container.
Yep.
And you're going to have a little space rather than making an arrangement, but you've got a little garden like we were talking about, and you don't want the soil to show. Just sprinkle the pumice in there.
Yeah.
Keeps the plants clean.
And they have different grades of it, where you can get kind of like bulky, chunky pumice, or you can get fine pumice. And so, like you're saying, John,
colors
that's what I'm saying. Like you can get like different ones. It's not all just one and the same. You can get different ones that kind of give it a different look, because the only other way to kind of you can use little pea gravel or little gravel. Sometimes they use the seashells or sand.
I like pea gravel.
You like pea gravel?
I think it looks nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only pumice I used to use was black. I never even realized they had white pumice.
White pumice.
That's
really?
Mostly what people use now, right? Is
yeah.
White pumice.
Most. Yeah.
And you say, John, the pumice is a little heavier. That's a good anchor.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a volcanic rock.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Where perlite has been heated and expanded.
Right.
And it has light in the very name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pearl light.
Yeah. Let's see what Carolyn is. Oh, Debra says.
Got
It's
it.
like a little town meeting we're having here.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because Debra says that when her screen freezes, she clicks refresh.
And then it gets like a hamburger commercial or
She gets
something,
a
right?
hamburger factory commercial.
What's a hamburger factory? I don't even know what that is.
I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll make sure everything's off on the board. It's off.
Now, what is this? Carolyn says you might consider having an old-fashioned book with illustrations of plants and flowers to show viewers.
Just keep it in studio.
Yeah, exactly.
Debra has wonderful books. Well, I also have wonderful books on cactus and succulents.
You don't have it in studio, though.
I don't have it in studio, but my last book that I wrote with Bob Riedmuller had pictures of 100 different succulents.
Yeah.
100, over 100, I think, right?
I don't know. It was the 100 most popular. Had other pictures too, but we did that. So I'm not sure if Carolyn's. I mean, it's nice that she's complimenting Debra, but it's almost like, what good are you?
No, I think she's trying to say that we should have some books in studio in case this happens, that we can show people pictures.
Right, yeah.
And I'm just scared to switch things up right now. Like in theory, I could go off and then get pictures and bring them back.
We're on a tight rope right
but
now,
I feel like if I do that, I run the risk of shutting down the whole program, and I don't want to do that. I will say right now.
Oh, I was just going to mention quickly because Debra said that she has a brand new website.
Yeah.
And that it's amazing, no ads on it, and stuff like that. But we're also working on a new website, which we'll probably have up in
the end of the month. The end of the month.
The end of this month?
Yep.
Are we going to put ads on our website for the first time?
Yeah.
No.
This is probably not the time to talk about that either, with all the people enjoying
and the no ad.
Free 2 hours here.
Right, unless you have a gardening business and you would like to advertise.
No, she has a wonderful website. She's posting the links up there, and you can join her newsletter because I get her newsletter. I love it. That's how I found out she was going to be on the show this week. But I will.
That's why I found out she was going to be on the show.
Just kidding. But I want to go ahead because I know it's almost already 9:30 for Debra, and she was probably planning on being on the show until about 9.
Right.
So let's give her a 5-minute warning, and if she's like to join us for longer than that, but give her the option to be able to go ahead and log off. If anybody has any last-minute questions to ask her, please do so via Facebook Live.
Debra,
She'll get those.
Feel free, Debra, if you have
to go. If because I'm sure she has wonderful Mother's Day plans for the weekend as well that she probably wants to get to.
Right.
So,
and she did put a link on there if you do want to sign up for her newsletter that you're talking about. So I would definitely recommend doing that.
Oh, absolutely. You should be getting both newsletters.
And it's not annoying. You know, I have to tell you that I rather than stop some newsletters coming, all I did was mark them as spam. So that if I ever want to look at them, I can go to my spam folder.
Right.
But I have some people, and even though they're companies I really like, that send me one every single day.
No, too much.
You know, it's overkill.
Well, we're once a week. If you get our newsletter,
we're every Friday.
It's every Friday.
Yeah. And I don't know if Debra's is every week or not, but I certainly never get tired of it. I always look forward to it.
So there's a link to get Debra's newsletter. If you want to get the Garden America newsletter, go to gardenamerica.com. Top right-hand corner, sign up for the newsletter. It's quick, it's easy, no information is shared, and hopefully by the end of the month or so, early next month, as we mentioned, our not our Facebook page, but our website's going to look different. We're bringing it up to date.
Yep.
Adding a little life to our website.
Yeah, Carolyn also mentioned that mine was a wonderful book. And I was tongue-in-cheek teasing a little bit, Carolyn, but I do appreciate you saying that.
So what we're going to do next week is we're going to bring John's book in, or one of Debra's books. We'll open it up to a page. One of the camera shots will be of that, so that during the show, as it goes back and forth, we'll have a quick picture. Then Ty will just turn the page.
Yeah.
Hey, Jerry mentions that... I want to point this out because the first person that told me about this was your wife, Dana. And she had mentioned that she found this great apple in the store called Envy.
Wait. What are we talking about?
An apple. In the store. It's a fruit.
When
grows on a tree.
You'll see her.
Yeah, but she did what? She's talking to who? You?
She envied John.
Oh.
No, just kidding. Go ahead.
This was about this was about 3 or 4 years ago because I could still taste back then. And she had mentioned this apple in the store called Envy.
That's right.
And she wanted to know what we knew about it. And I think it's an apple from Australia. If I'm
New
not-
Zealand.
Is it New Zealand? New Zealand.
And it's Envy is the trademark of I don't know how to say it right, but Succulent apple. Scilate apple.
That's the variety?
And it's a cross between Royal Gala and someone that starts with a B, Burdon or something like that.
Braeburn? Because Braeburn's in Australia.
Yeah.
So,
and so I don't even know. I have not seen that Succulent variety on any listings from Dave Wilson. I could be wrong though, because Dave Wilson has a ton of varieties available, but I don't know if that's an easily acquired landscape apple variety. That's Succulent.
yeah, if it's from New Zealand, maybe not. But, Jerry, if you want to know, go to the Dave Wilson website.
Yep.
Which is just davewilson.com.
Mm-hmm.
And see if they have it.
Yeah, it's Scilate.
Okay, and then the other nursery, mail order nursery that you might get information from would be Stark Brothers.
Don't know.
It's probably one of the largest mail order fruit tree nurseries in the country. So that, Dave Wilson, and I think those are probably the two that I would check out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that is definitely one of the best tasting apples out there. And relatively new, right?
I actually have some at my house right now that I picked up from the grocery store last week. Yeah. Yeah. I lucked out too, because when I went to the checkout, I picked up like 3 of them, and the woman like dropped one when she was checking it out. And so she's just like, "Oh, sent the other guy that was bagging the stuff, we just go get him 3 new ones." And so I got 6 of them. And it was just dropped. It wasn't even bad.
Is that at Trader Joe's?
No, it was at Vaughn's.
Because that sounds like something they would do. Yeah. Just go back and get some more.
But when you drop an apple,
it bruises it right away. So, no, I took that one home. And
3 days later when you go to eat it, it's...
And then the bruise spreads through it.
Yeah.
It doesn't just... It's not like, oh, boom, bruise, and then that's
like
it.
Banana will stay right...
Yeah, banana will stay, like, right there, right? The apple, like, it like, spreads through it.
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah. So... Yeah, that's the fun thing about seeing some of those varieties. But the hard part is tracking down the tree,
right.
The fruit, like Cutie Mandarin. There's no Cutie Mandarin tree.
No, but Dana bought that's the name brand, right?
Right, that's the name brand of the.
Buys those all the time.
Yeah, but that's usually a mix of mandarins because they keep them having, but they keep coming in different times.
Depending on the season.
That's what I'm saying.
Right. Yeah,
because you buy some cuties and they're easy to peel.
Pixie is one of the varieties.
Yeah,
and that's one with the real thin skin, but a little more difficult to peel.
Right, that's what I was saying. Sometimes really you buy one, and it's easy to peel.
Yeah.
Another time you buy them, and they're hard to peel. And so they're switching up varieties then.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because she'll buy a bag and be like, "Oh, these weren't very good," and then another bag, "Oh, these are really good."
Yeah,
they're not always consistent.
Yeah, I have a Valencia orange tree in my backyard that's been giving me really good oranges, but it's flowering again, so I got to go and pick off all the other oranges. But I leave them on the tree because they last longer on the tree.
Sweet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Well, now's about the time. People have a tendency. There's some citrus. Tangelos is one of them that always look like they're ripe, and people, go and buy or pick them, and then it's like more sour than a grapefruit.
Oh.
But they're really sweet and juicy when they're ripe.
When
they
they
just take a lot longer than most people think.
You
have a question, John?
I was going to say, do you like grapefruit juice?
I love grapefruits in general.
Really?
I do like grapefruit.
No sugar, no nothing.
Yeah, a lot of people, I get it. A lot of people don't always like grapefruit, but I like grapefruit.
I think when I was a kid, we always put sugar on, a little bit of sugar.
Yep. Yeah, you do that sometimes. But like the ruby red, and
sweeter,
those ones are sweeter that you don't have to. But like, if you get the Oro Blanco,
yeah,
those ones are sour that you got to use a little sugar.
Oro Blanco is not sour at all.
Which one's the yellow one in the middle?
Marsh.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
of.
Marsh seedless.
Yeah,
those are sour. But Oro Blanco has no sourness to it at all.
Oro Blanco, is it more reddish or is it white?
No, it's white.
It's white.
Okay.
And it's a big one.
Yeah.
Big, thick skin, but
they're
you
real
would
sweet.
like those. Yeah, they're not tart at all.
So you can't offend it then, right?
No, it's not thin skin. Deborah put a link on here, which was kind of nice.
I saw that.
She says, "Hey, John, look what I just found on Amazon." She says, "You and Bob Riedmiller are coming out with a mini version of your succulent book." Or is it a new one altogether? No, you're right, Deborah. It is a mini version.
Oh, yeah?
Kind of a gift version of our succulent
Oh,
book.
really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What'd you guys just do? Just cut it in half and reprint?
I didn't do anything. It was the publisher decided to do that for some reason.
Oh.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see if I can make any money off of it. Debra doesn't have this problem because she's such a good author and sells so many books. But, I write a book and you get paid up front so much.
John writes a book and he owes them money.
Yeah, and then every quarter I get a statement that says, now you only owe us this much.
Oh.
So Kathy Ray says a little salt on grapefruit makes it sweet.
Really? I'll just try it. I've never tried. I love salt like on oranges. I put salt on watermelon.
You sound like my dad. He would put salt on everything.
Oh, I can put salt on everything.
He put salt in beer.
If you have like a Corona with a lime, a little salt. I've never done it in like a Miller Lite or anything like that though.
Salt, but he's a saltaholic.
Yeah.
Deborah says that she still can't get sound.
No, I'm
so if you
bummed about that.
Post a question, she'll be happy to answer it. But I think that obviously, if she can't get sound, she never heard that we said you can go if you need to.
Yeah.
So we'll have to
maybe
apologize.
type in there, just say if you want to go, Deborah. Thank you for joining us. We just feel bad for keeping her for too long.
Yeah.
We don't want to make people feel trapped. But
Lenore was asking Deborah if decorative stones, colored stones, would be okay to use with cactus and succulents. Yeah, and it would be the same as using pumice, just different colors, right?
Yep. One of the words of caution, because people will go and get sand from the beach or seashells from the beach, or they'll get rocks and things, maybe beach pebbles kind of a thing. Think about where these are coming from because they have a lot of salt on them or in them.
Right.
You can end up hurting the plants. So
wash them real good.
Really thoroughly rinse them. Not just, it's not just a matter of like washing it and then taking it out of the water. That didn't go anywhere. Right. You got to rinse it through to make sure that all the salts are out of these items before you incorporate them into your succulent displays, pots, or landscape. Yeah.
Patty Bryan says that she had a taste of an Oro Blanco grapefruit at Nursery Outlet last week. She said it was fantastic.
Okay.
Maybe we should get into more of the grapefruit discussions here.
Yeah, Oro Blanco. There's Star Ruby, Oro Blanco. What's the one that you mentioned? Marsh?
Marsh seedless.
March, like the month?
No, marsh.
Marsh, like a bog.
Right, a swamp.
What other ones are out there?
What do the stores sell? One or two kinds, that's it, right? If any?
There's pink grapefruit, there's, different red grapefruits and things like that. Grapefruit really doesn't develop well unless it's in the desert.
Right.
Or really hot climates. The notable factor about Oro Blanco is it's the one grapefruit that you can grow along the coast and will ripen so that it tastes really good. It it won't be sour or undeveloped like other grapefruits which require the heat. That's why a lot of grapefruit comes from Texas.
The heat.
Because of the heat. Texas, and a matter of fact, I think, isn't Star Ruby called Texas Star Ruby?
I don't know. Could be.
Not sure.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's one that usually requires more heat.
Yeah, and for those of us that live in San Diego, a lot of good grapefruit come from Borrego, down there in the desert. Sure. Yeah, they have a lot of really good ones down there. So,
Michelle says that she has new tulips and hyacinths that she planted in big containers in late April. And they've already bloomed, and now they aren't blooming.
Mm-hmm.
She gave them some Vigoro bloom food when she planted them and gave them another dose after they stopped blooming. How long will it be before they bloom again? The answer, unfortunately, Michelle, is they probably will never bloom again. And the reason is that we require a cold, or they require a cold winter in order to bloom, a chilling period. The only way you could get them to bloom is that in the fall, maybe around August, after maybe even earlier than that.
I don't know. I would say August.
Really,
Yeah.
after the leaves die, just keep them watered and growing. After the leaves die, if you dig up those flower bulbs, put them in the refrigerator for 6 to 8 weeks, and then bring them out in the spring and plant them again, then they'll grow and bloom.
Not in a plastic bag, though.
No,
Right.
put them in
Like
a
a
paper bag.
Or just set them in your veggie compartment or whatever it is.
Yeah. Get dirt in your veggie compartment. Probably would be better to put them in a paper bag.
Yeah, and then that's the only way to get them to rebloom. It's tough for us, right? Yeah, because they need that to bloom again.
Well, my son Joe was working out in Boston a couple weeks ago, and he had been to an arboretum out there, and he sent me pictures, and there were beds and beds of tulips all in full bloom.
Well, I would love that. I love.
Yeah,
tulips.
and I told I texted back. It's so nice to see
cool.
tulips where they're happy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because that is something we miss here.
Tulips, yeah. As a kid, I was always fascinated by tulips.
Now, I was fascinated when we were in England, and they had those beds, and it might have been tulips at the time. I can't remember. There was that one woman's house that we went to, and it was just magnificent. And she would say they would dig them out, and then put in new stuff. They sold them. I can't remember. There was a variety of bulbs that they would do, but they would even dig them out there sometimes and plant new stuff.
Because they want things in the bed.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
But I was thought just leave them in there, and just let them. But they
in
always.
Michigan, we used to plant other things in the tulip beds, and they would die out, and
you'd have the tulips come up, and they would come up in sequence.
Right.
And that's what I thought was normal to do. But they would just dig them out to make room for other stuff, and then plant the other stuff, and they would store them, they say, and then put them back in. It seems like a lot of work.
Places we visited in England had larger gardening budgets than we normally have.
Yeah.
So you can do that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just depends. I personally don't think tulips are practical in Southern California.
No.
If we have a cool winter like we had this year and a cool spring, the flowers will last a little longer. But normally what happens is the tulips come up, they open up, and you get a Santa Ana or some hot weather, and they're dead the next day.
Yeah.
So
very delicate.
I usually recommend if people are planting tulips or hyacinths in California to plant them in the shade, since they're going to only grow the 1 year anyway. They'll last longer if they're in the shade. And
don't they tease you too, where if you left it in the ground, doesn't the foliage emerge?
Sometimes you'll get foliage
but then they don't bloom.
But no,
so it's like this teasing thing where you're like, oh, it's coming back. I'm going to get another tulip.
And then you get 1 year.
Then it never puts a flower.
There
on.
are some species tulips that will naturalize or rebloom in Southern California. Tulip clusiana is one, but it's a little tiny,
small one.
The only full-size tulip that sometimes repeats in Southern California that I'm aware of is one called burgundy lace, which is a fringe tulip, and I've had that come back and bloom the second year, third year. But in general, I don't know. That, by the way, was a clue for everybody to be silent and have a moment of silence.
We're just looking at all the comments, and I get Debra still active as far as helping people out, answering questions, so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Thank you, Debra.
Michelle got the information, so she's going to remember to put them in a paper bag in the fall. You do have to let them continue to grow, Michelle, because the only way the plant will bloom again, if it gets the cold treatment, is if the bulb builds up to a nice size, and it has to, all the nutrients required for it are going in through the leaves as the plant, or the leaves photosynthesize and restore the bulb. So it's important to keep that growing. And you did put some bulb food in, so that's going to be good.
Yeah. So, it's a bummer because you kind of have to let it look bad before
it'll ever
a lot of people will want it in there and start cutting things back, cleaning it up. But for the bulb, you really want it to look bad before you go and do that because, you need all that stuff to go back into the bulb and be able to do what you wanted to do, like you mentioned.
I was I showed you that picture last week, I think, of the amaryllis that I had in my yard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, now individual flowers are starting to turn brown, and I'm cutting them off one at a time. But then eventually, you cut all those stems off. And the nice thing about the amaryllis is that, to me, the leaves remind me a little bit of agapanthus.
Yeah.
So they look nice, while they're growing. But you again, have to let those bulbs replenish themselves and build back up.
I think Debra left a closing remark.
Hugs to all. Thanks. Bye. Okay. Debra, thank you so much.
Thank you very much for joining us, Debra.
Golf applause for Debra Lee Baldwin, spending about an hour and a half with us, which we do appreciate.
Yeah.
So we're
busy
still
woman.
Open for business. Want to ask us any questions? We'll be here. Got a podcast after. We have to do a podcast.
Yeah.
I know. At least a good 15 minutes of something. We need material. We need some subject
I look
matter.
forward to hearing.
Last time he ducked out.
I have to go again. Nobody told me I'm not prepared.
Yeah.
Well, we're supposed to do them every week, and if not, at least every 2 weeks, if we want to stay on the
Lenore mentioned that
platform here.
That everything was lasting longer this year because of the cooler weather. And she's in canyon country. It gets really hot, but her clematis, she said, are doing really well, her clematis.
And then the nice thing about this cool weather, because we might not be getting that much more rain. We haven't gotten real measurable rainfall. But because it's been cloudy and drizzly,
I got nice rain last week.
Did you? No, yeah. I mean, some areas are.
Yeah.
Some areas are, some areas aren't.
And by nice in Southern California, we're talking like a quarter to half an inch.
Yeah. Is that the water is staying in the ground, though?
Right.
Because sometimes what happens here is we get rain. Well, no, not just we get too much rain, but what I was saying is we get rain and then it's sunny for a week.
Yeah.
Well, all that just goes away.
Or worse, sunny and windy.
Yeah, and then we get rain and then sunny.
Yeah.
But we've been getting rain and then cloudy, so it's really keeping it in there and allowing it to get deep down into the soil. Which down the road are trees, our natural landscaped areas are going to show that really well in the next few years because of that reason, if the kind of continues, which will be kind of nice, because we've had so many problems with trees here, all through California.
Yeah.
With bugs, disease, and then death, just because they don't have water down deep where they need water, kind of a thing. So I'm really excited that this sequence of weather is happening, because it might not be great to have cloudy days, but at least that rainwater and that water is going deep into the ground to really take care of our plants.
The one bad thing about the cloudy days as far as plants go is if it goes from cloudy to full sun.
Yeah.
We talk about bringing house plants outdoors and how they can get sunburned if they're not used to it. Same thing happens to landscape plants. If you have a whole month of cloudy, overcast days and then all of a sudden the sun comes out, you can get sunburn on a lot of your plants.
Well, especially everybody's starting their vegetable garden. And, they're starting all these seedlings off and growing these things out. And it's been cloudy for 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
These little starter plants. And then, like you say, if it's a 75 and sunny, they'll burn real quick. But it shouldn't be too bad for some of those. I mean, for those of you that are pushing...
plants that grow really quickly will grow right out of it.
But the people that are pushing the limits with some of the stuff, like their cool season crops that they're kind of doing right now too, those ones got to be real careful with.
Yeah. Well, people who planted broccoli and cauliflower and cabbage, a little bit late, they lucked out this year because they're going to get a nice crop.
Yeah.
Did you put in any of that?
No.
No?
No, not this year.
What's going on in your veggie pod?
Well, right now I just have all of my seedlings still, my loofah, my dianthus, some linaria.
Where are you going to put that loofah?
On the fence.
And then wash
on a fence that I have, that I'm going to try to train it across a fence. I know most people train it across like a trellis.
Right.
But I'm going to try to train it across a fence.
Should do fine on a fence.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen loofah growing?
Maybe.
They look like cucumbers.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they'll be just hanging there. It looks like a green cucumber, the exact same thing, but there's a loofah sponge.
Is bacon as heavy?
Yeah.
Yeah, they are heavy. I asked that same question a while ago. I thought they would have been lighter, but no, they're heavy. So
you have to attach it to the fence and then train it to
I'll attach it to go up the fence, and then it should be able to cross by itself. And then that's where I'm hoping the loofah will hang from as it goes across. Yeah. And then I've got cilantro, and I've got a couple varieties of pepper in there as well. I've got one hot pepper, one bell pepper. Some lettuce regrew by itself from seed. So I just let that go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tiger didn't tell you the ficus story, did he?
Oh, no.
The HOA finally cut the ficus down, right?
Uh-huh. The one by your patio.
Right there, right. Okay, which is all well and good. But that's all they did. It's just cut. The plant, it's still alive. Okay, so I didn't know if they knew that was the next step. So in a very nice way, I left a message and an email, because I called Tiger that day. I said, don't you have to drill holes now and pour something
is
down
this
there
the one that grew through a pot that you had into the ground?
Yes, absolutely.
So this was really your fault, not theirs.
No, it was there. It was there.
Oh, it was there before you moved in?
There, yeah. So, I went to move it. I went to move it one time.
And it rooted in the ground.
It moved. Yeah. So what they did is they cut it, this 20-foot tree, which everyone hated to see it go. But I said, you still have to drill holes now and pour stump kill down there.
Right.
And then we're going to have to cut the roots away from the pot because you can't move the pot. So I guess in a nice way I was trying to say, I assume you got the wheels in motion now. The tree is still alive. It will continue to grow unless we kill it. So that's where we're at. Hopefully they'll send somebody, or else you know what?
They haven't responded yet.
No.
I'm waiting to just see it start to grow right back out, and then they don't come back for
it'll
another.
Grow faster than ever before because it's got all those roots and no top.
All those roots, yeah. So it's not sending anything up to
so when it does start growing, it'll grow like crazy.
We gotta get there. So what is it? Stumps?
Stump killer.
Stump killer.
Yeah, yeah. And usually what you do is you drill a couple holes in it, and then you just pour it in there.
Have you ever seen that work?
Not
Honestly.
really.
Well, how are we gonna make sure this is
good? Although I've used it,
ever seen it work.
I used it on the pepper tree that I cut down for my podocarpus hedge.
Uh-huh.
And let's be real, nothing kills the pepper tree. But those stumps that I used it on were much slower than some of the other areas.
How do we kill this thing? Seriously.
What's worked for me is doing that same thing, but with
in Roundup?
With undiluted glyphosate.
Right down in there?
Yeah. Yep.
Really?
Undiluted, straight. Don't buy the pre-mixed stuff.
No.
Buy the concentrate bottle. Do the same thing that I just described, where you But the other thing that you kind of want is you want that wound to be fresh, so it absorbs it.
So as soon as you drill the hole, pour it in.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, at the same time, yeah. How far down do you drill?
Usually, how big is your trunk of this tree?
No, it's like that.
Like that?
Yeah, it's
so you can do like one hole,
like 6 inches.
Yeah, if you can do one hole, use like the 1-inch auger bit.
Yeah.
Or if you don't have that, the like 1/2-inch bits, do like maybe 3 or 4 holes. 4 holes. Yeah, and then go down about 1.5 inches to 2 inches.
You can't come over and just do that for me real quick.
Yeah.
Maybe
on Monday, if you come and help us, I'll have time afterwards.
I know, but see, I wish I could, but my boss is gone for the week. I got to be here. I can't. I'm stuck here. 10 hours
wait a second.
They won't even know you're missing. Just put your face.
Boss is gone.
Just put your.
He's gone.
So
do a Ferris Bueller.
I didn't know if you're not
let's
here.
see. I've got how many stations?
Just tape something right here.
Yeah, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Phoenix, Albuquerque, Seattle. They'll never know I'm gone.
All you do is put on your recording light.
Yeah, exactly.
Like next door, right?
Yeah, he's always there. The guy never leaves.
Yeah, he's always there. Exactly.
I mean,
well, I may need your help on that tree then. Because even if I do it, I want to make sure that we walk away and know that thing's dead, and then somehow cut the root.
It's a ficus. There's no way of walking away and knowing it's dead.
I gotta get that out of there. I don't. What are you thinking? Just what? We have to cut the tree down, and I think most people there's a lot of people that just think that killed the tree.
Yeah.
That just by cutting it kills it.
Well, the reason I asked Tiger if he had ever seen that tree stump remover work was I had a pomegranate in the back, about the same size you're talking about. Diameter, about 6 inches on the trunk, and my son Joe cut it down, and I said, well, it's just going to resprout, and he went and got that stuff, drilled holes, poured it in there, and that was about 1.5 years ago, and now the plant's blooming. It's probably about 3 or 4 feet tall.
And he drilled
bushy.
like a few holes in there?
He did this, yeah. I've just never, ever seen that work. But I've had people tell me it did.
Well, and that's the thing, too, is you have to, and you have to recognize, for instance, like I mentioned, the pepper tree and a pomegranate, is that, sometimes they re-sprout from below the original stump,
Yeah.
That
could be what this one's doing.
Sometimes, it doesn't.
So as long as if we do this, and as long as we don't see any growth, will anything change? The stump?
It'll begin to rot.
Because we got to get.
But it'll take a year or two to start to rot.
We got to get it out of there. We got to move the pot. So we got to cut somehow. Someone's got to cut the roots, and we got to get the pot out of there.
Well, if you can dig it, can you dig around it?
No, there's no room. It's in the.
And it's right up next to
place.
right up next to it.
Right up next to the upstairs thing, and this pot's just right there, and there's. Because I want to get it out of there so I can kind of landscape a little bit.
I feel like we need to make our own mini show about this ficus tree. Maybe that's what we should do the podcast on.
We should go over there and actually do a video on drilling those holes and killing it.
That's not Garden America killing plants, though.
Even if we kill it, and now the roots and everything are dead, I still have to separate it from the pot and get the pot out of there.
The pot's done.
Well, yeah, but I want to get everything. I want to remove. I don't want the stump there. I don't want anything there.
Okay. Well, you'll have to chop it all out.
You know what? That's the HOA.
Get your axe, and start chopping away at the base of it. Yeah. We had a quote from George Washington. No, who was?
It was George Washington.
Was it George Washington? Yes, chopped down apple tree, right? Yeah.
No, it was a cherry
tree.
Cherry tree. Cherry tree. Never told a lie.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from?
From him chopping down a cherry tree.
Okay, well, I think, you know what? I think we can wrap up. I think we're good here.
Yeah, any last questions out there, people that are following us right now?
If you want to wait next week, we'll do a podcast next week, and we'll plan for it.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll talk about it.
If you and Tiger want to do one, that's fine. I think that's actually a great idea.
We'll go next week, but we got to try to do them as much as we can. Go no more than 2 weeks without doing one.
Gotcha.
All right.
We have to have something on there.
So any of our listeners out there, if you want to send us a note.
Yeah, always feel free to send us topics.
Yeah, something you'd like us to talk about, we'll be happy to do.
And or else we'll come up with one ourselves next week, and we'll try to do every week if we can.
Perfect.
Okay, that's going to do it.
Have a good Mother's Day, everyone. That's Mother's
Day, everybody.
Enjoy the first day of spring for the East Coast people.
There you go. Take care.